Goddamn side. Stop it, Hannah! You can a little more.
I can't scoot in.
Yes, you can. There's so much room.
You keep pushing me out.
No, I'm not. Alright, give me a little room. Hey, what's going on, guys? So today's movie review is 12 Strong, the true story of the 12 Green Berets that went into Afghanistan after 9/11. The stars of the movie are Chris Hemsworth and Michael Shannon.
So the movie starts with clips of different terrorist attacks that have happened in America leading up to 9/11, things that happened in New York. There were some bombings that happened at the World Trade Center prior to 9/11.
USS Cole was a good...
Right,
yeah.
USS Cole happens. So it kind of sets the stage for what led to 9/11. The next thing, when you meet Chris Hemsworth's character, 9/11 happens that day. And it shows the process of him wanting to be the leader of this 12-man unit that's going to go in and be our first attack on the Taliban and Al-Qaeda right after 9/11. They go into the northern part of Afghanistan. It's very mountainous, so you see that. You see the logistics of how they got in there, how they were going to be the first unit in this country that we have not been in before, which I can't imagine how terrifying that is. You are literally going into an austere environment that you've never been there before, and you're just going to be dropped in by yourself, 12 people in a huge country, completely alone. But these 12 guys, they had no hesitation whatsoever. They volunteered for it. They wanted to go. They wanted defend their country after 9/11. Now, the cool thing, I was talking to my dad about this afterwards. He was like, where was this filmed? Because he wanted to know if it was pretty accurate. It was actually filmed in New Mexico, which I thought was funny because when I got back from Afghanistan, a few years after I got back, I was sent out to Southern California for some training, and I said, man, this looks a lot like Afghanistan, because I was in the southern part of Afghanistan, and Nick was in the northern part, and he said that that looked a lot like the northern. I thought that was kind of cool.
The movie does a really good job on how units actually act in the army. I mean, the small units of a 12-man group act very, cohesively. They have really good teamwork, really good family connections with one another. So you actually see that in the film. You get to see, the way they interact with each other is very accurate, I guess, to the way that Han and I kind of saw when we were in the military. The one thing that Han and I kind of thought was a little funny about the whole movie is there's a scene early on in the movie of the way that military brass, higher up ranks in the military act, and we looked at each other and go, oh my god, that's so accurate to what we were actually kind of brought up with when we were in the military.
There is a little bit of family life that you get to see prior to them going to Afghanistan. They kind of want to set the stage that they are real people. They have families. I think they said 11 out of the 12 were married and 10 out of those 12 had kids. You get to meet Chris Hemsworth's wife and daughter. Fun fact about that is that the real wife of the main character is not actually Spanish. I think they did that just for cohesiveness, because I think they're married in real life, Chris Hemsworth and that actress. Yeah. So I think they were trying to play off some chemistry there, but fun fact, she's not really Spanish. I thought it was kind of funny. There is a scene that I really liked in the movie. It's prior to them leaving. They're all kind of showing different, how each man is saying goodbye to his wife in his own way. And Nick and I have experienced that a couple times now. I know when I deployed, people asked me if I was going to write a letter. Like, if something were to happen to me, if I was going to write a letter that was kind of a goodbye letter. I did not do that. I felt like that was a sign of bad luck. I thought, nope, I'm not doing that. First of all, that's a hard thing to write. I think it's bad luck. And in this movie, apparently I'm not the only one that views it that way, because Chris Hemsworth's character also did not write a letter. So I was like, yeah.
So it's nice to see from two people that have actually deployed to Afghanistan what life was like prior to anything that ever happened in Afghanistan. So as the Special Forces team is getting ready to deploy into Afghanistan, they have a small base in Uzbekistan, and they're trying to get everything ready to go, prepped up for this first invasion into Afghanistan, or first fight back to the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. The one nice thing about this movie, and the one thing that Khan and I both kind of laughed about at the end of the movie, was how accurate portrayal the Afghans were with all the fighting and the communication with our soldiers during the entire movie. One thing that we've understood in Afghanistan in wartime is that the Afghans pretty much run on their own time, and the way that they fight is, as Allah wills it, you know, it will happen. That goes with shooting, that goes with fighting battles. They don't go too much on tactics as much as we do. You know, there's a couple scenes in this movie where Chris Hemsworth's character is just like, why are we not pressing the attack? Oh, well, you know, we'll attack tomorrow. And you're like, what the fuck, man? It was cool things like that we actually got to see in the movie that we can relate to just because we've been there, we've seen it. Even though we weren't there in the initial invasion of Afghanistan, at least being there in 2012 and 2013, we kind of got to see a little bit of kind of what was going on, and how accurate and kind of funny it is to kind of look back and go, wow, that is pretty accurate by far.
There's kind of a funny scene when they first get to country. There's a man that's been in country for a little while before them, and he's introducing them around, and he's pointing out different things like food that they're eating. And he's like, the bread's pretty good. I don't know what that is, but it's really good. Try that. And that's so accurate because their food is really good. You don't know what you're eating, but it is good.
So now there's actually a couple things that are a little bit Hollywood up. I know the one thing when Han and I went to the premiere, Mark Nooch actually got to speak. This is the guy that this whole movie and the book Horse Soldiers is based around. And he actually, during the Q&A after the movie, talked about how there is a couple things in this movie that's kind of Hollywood up from what actually happened. But watching this movie, you don't really feel that so much until you actually find out the true facts about what was kind of going on. So it's nice to know, you know, what we know now about what really happened, but it's still the movie does a really good job in being able to tell a really good story of what these guys had to go through. And it's just a very entertaining thing to watch.
So the movie is based on a book, Horse Soldiers. I haven't read it yet, but after seeing this movie, I'm definitely going to pick it up and read it. I'm excited to see maybe the differences, historically accurate versus Hollywood. I think the book is obviously going to be a little more historically accurate, but I think it'll be a really good read. Because we had the opportunity to attend this premiere, we were able to listen to Mark actually give a little Q&A afterward. That was really, really cool. Just being able to hear him be in the presence of heroes, essentially, because this theater was full of Green Berets, former, current Green Berets, several just historically
people from Afghanistan were actually there too.
There was some Afghans
an ambassador.
there. Yeah, an ambassador. A couple different Afghani people were there. It was an honor to be able to hear what he had to say, hear how historically accurate versus Hollywood, which there was a lot of Hollywood. But it was just really neat to be able to experience that. I did want to ask one question. I didn't do it, though I wish I would have. There's a scene that's, like, to me, really Hollywood. It's in every war movie. They pick up a grenade and they throw it back, like a grenade that's been thrown at them. I wanted to ask, did you really do that? Because I don't know. Like, to me, it's in every war movie, so I just want to know. I want to meet somebody that's actually done that, so that's why I wanted to ask. I wish I would have. So we did see a review on this the day after, because there was a guy from our local news station that reviewed the movie right after we saw it. He was in the premiere with us. He said that night he was going to give it a really good review, because he loved the movie.
Yeah, he said he was going to give it a really good review. This was going to be the top story of the news channel.
Well, come to find out that next morning, the review wasn't as stellar as he said it was going to be. He said it had too much action. Now,
it's a war movie. There's gonna be some action.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever seen, I don't know if, like, Saving Private Ryan blew his mind with action.
I can't watch Black Hawk Down. It's too vulgarous and violent.
It was, like, yeah, there's action. It's not too much action. It's a war movie. It's perfect amount of action.
Well, it slowly builds up to the battles that actually happen, the historical battles that happened in northern Afghanistan that these Green Berets were a part of. It slowly builds up what was going on. So the one thing that a lot of people don't know about Green Berets, they are not just in charge of going into battles and fighting. They're really in charge of building cohesion, building, you know, teams on the ground, people, local militias and stuff like that, and it goes into great detail of how the Green Berets were doing that in Afghanistan. So for somebody to say that there's too action-packed, it actually goes through what Green Berets do when they're actually in country into a war. So we both really enjoyed the movie. I think they did a really good job in portraying, you know, what was going on in the very beginning stages of the Afghanistan war. I mean, for somebody that I was back in 7th grade when 9/11 happened, and to kind of know and kind of like just think back that this stuff was happening when I was in the 7th grade, and all this, you know, all those traumatic events, and the way that as us as a country kind of were bringing, you know, getting up from the ashes and taking the fight to the Taliban and to Al-Qaeda. It brought a lot of pride in me, and it brought a lot of joy to me just to know that, you know, a lot of people stood up to defend this great country, and to that I am most proud of.
So I agree with Nick here in his review. It's a fun movie to go see. It's full of action. I love action movies, so I might be a little bit biased, but it is a lot of fun to go see. I think it would be good for kids to see because maybe they weren't around during 9/11. This is a good way of letting them know, hey, this is what happened. This is what your country did for you. This is why we're still in Afghanistan. I definitely want to buy it. It's not a burn it for me. It's definitely a buy it. I enjoyed this movie. I think it's in my top 5 as far as military flicks go. Those top 5 are it's hard to compete with that, so it's probably number 5 out of my top 5, but really fun. It's a good movie. I recommend it.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our movie review. We definitely enjoyed 12 Strong, and we really hope you guys did too. If you guys actually enjoyed this review, please give us a thumbs up and let us know down in the comments below if you guys have actually seen 12 Strong. And Hannah would love to know what your favorite war movie is of all time.
Hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you
next time.